I talk to him every Monday night. Keep up with appearances.
So talk through Beyond Fine, that acronym, and how it relates to what we're doing, if you would.
Beyond Fine, I learned in my counseling through therapy that it stands for F is fucked up, I is insecure, N is neurotic, and E is emotional. And the longer I was going through counseling, I was realizing I was every one of those things.
Mm.
And now that I've got to the point where I am today, I believe I'm beyond a lot of those things, but it's always going to be a battle and they always be there with me.
Yeah.
But right now I do think I'm beyond fine. I'm not fucked up and insecure and neurotic and emotional anymore. I'm secure in the person that I became. Well, depending on the person, you might still say I'm a little fucked up, but aren't we all? But I've learned to become emotional instead of hiding my emotions, which was my problem.
Yeah. I think that's the one that's important to me. Emotional is still a good thing. Yes. Emotion is a good thing. The fine is that you're feeling it but not expressing it, or that's the shield that you're using to it. So I like when I think about that acronym, emotional but authentically emotional, or okay to express those emotions, or more emotional even, at least that outwardly, that it looks like that you were suppressing those emotions prior to that.
Yeah, so I was trying not to feel anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I was using alcohol to suppress all that. But now, like, I understand my emotions, I understand my feelings, and now I am my true self, my authentic self. And that's a big part of it. And then as you learn to be that, you learn not to be insecure, you gain more confidence in yourself and your decisions that you're making. And I think the rest of it kind of starts to fall into place.
Yeah, that's helpful. That helps me understand it. I think your journey and your episode that you shared, our first episode, was a really cool story share and really meaningful. And I don't think everybody's there yet. So like when I think about my stuff, right, this one's about me, and how it might be different. Welcome to my basement. Welcome to the Weller Workshop's office is where we're recording. I didn't do, my journey's different than yours. Yours was, come on in for a second, P. Slight pause. Paxton Faith is in. How's it going? You know my friend Kyle? Kyle Paxton.
Nice
Paxton,
to meet you.
My voice is going.
Ah!
What did you do?
I was screaming and laughing. But
welcome to the podcast. You're on our pod.
Oh, hi.
That's a good weekend. Doing a little screaming. Yep. How are you feeling?
Tired.
Yep.
You didn't nap on the way home?
No, I usually don't nap.
That's once you get older, you'll learn to cherish that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for stopping in. Let Mom and Quince know that we're recording down here.
Okay.
Mine's a work in progress, and I think that's okay. I haven't gone through the stuff that you've gone through, but I'm going through it, and it's taken a little bit longer. Or the program stuff that you were in helped you, and I didn't necessarily have that formality.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to how we've talked and we said how counseling has such a negative aspect.
Yeah.
Would I have gone to counseling if I wasn't kind of forced to?
That's it. I've been thinking about that, right? Like you had either do this, participate in this program, or go to prison.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Not to say that that's wrong, but that was a force that you had.
Yeah.
Maybe that most don't, or
and I knew I was ready for it.
Yeah.
It was just, it was definitely time, or some, say like yourself, or probably most of the people out there that aren't forced to do it. It seems like you probably find excuses not to do it instead of go to do it.
Yeah. Right. And so, not to diminish what you did, because I think it's incredible. It was awesome. You made that choice. You're making that choice every day. Um, like I think like what we could explore, like what the front end of that looks like maybe a more proactive approach, so that it's not a go to prison or get help.
Yeah.
It's I want to get help maybe before that happens or before that's forced on. And I think we've heard back that your story is meaningful with folks that reached out and said that, and just talking about vulnerable things and where you're at and your challenges um, helps people understand that, even if it's not, even if you're not living a new life, or even if you're not fully there yet, that you're still working through some stuff. Is what I had to remind myself when I'm preparing for this conversation. Is I don't have it figured out yet. Um, I have good days and bad days, and I think probably we all do. And I am working each day to become a more confident, authentic person. But my story is going to sound a little bit different than yours did, just based on circumstance.
Yeah, because everybody's story and journey is different. It's just a matter of learning to take pride in it.
Yeah. And we grew up together, and we
Yeah.
partied together, and we made the same
Yeah.
mistakes together, and we abused substance together. Right? Like we drank together, we partied together. So like all of that is we shared that experience,
And
made those mistakes, learned
Yeah.
from that, and can look at each other and say, well, we both grown and changed and evolved, and that's okay.
yeah, because I could just say at being at graduation at Amherst yesterday, I ran into our friend Jesse Conkle, and he kind of
Big pops.
yeah,
Yeah.
he said to me, it's kind of hard to listen to talk about stuff like this. He said,
Yeah.
I know what you were.
Yep.
And I said, well, we can change. People all change. And I know I was no saint, and you were no saint, and here we are today, is trying to grow and mature and help people versus what we were before.
Yeah, and like we grew up and matured a little bit at least.
Yeah.
And learned from our mistakes and are open to talk about it. And I don't want to paint a picture that everything's perfect and we have it all figured out and we're not that person that we were, or that we're not going to admit to those mistakes that we made, or just foolishness and immaturity and all of those things that goes along with growing up. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to these days?
About myself and what I'm up to these days.
With starting your business and
so
how life
changes. One of the questions was just like about accomplishments and challenges. Like becoming a parent, being a parent is a huge both accomplishment and challenge. And I think how you define success was another question that you asked, and just like what's important to you. I graduated from college with a degree in marketing and economics from UW Oshkosh, and then kind of jumped into a corporate environment, doing that for a long time, leading a market research team, and did that for 15 years, and thought that was what success looks like, is kind of continuing to grow in career and job title and salary. And if you work really hard at that and you have those things, then everything else works out. And it turns out there's a more broader definition of success and what that looks like. Things like, are you happy, and mental health and free time, and do you like what you do, and do you like who you are? So made it through COVID, and I think kind of the COVID pause had a big impact on kind of me changing that definition of success, or at least questioning it. I resigned and started my own business, doing the work that I love to do, which is human-centered design facilitation, working with groups on innovative challenges, specifically in the nonprofit social sector space. So that was a huge leap. Here's this thing that you went to school for, that you're paid well for, that you're compensated for, and you made it to a senior management position. And then are you happy, or can you do this for 20 more years, or is this your life's calling, are things that kind of pushed at me. And no was the answer, a hard no. And then, so what are you going to do about it? So I started a consulting firm. Weller Workshops is the name of it. One-man consulting shop dedicated to kind of bringing those tools to the social sector in Northeast Wisconsin. And challenges with that. Challenges with leaving that environment and that culture and that kind of support to doing your own thing. And, do you have what it takes? Can you make it? How much do you have to work? Are you retiring? It's a semi-retirement. Are you ready to retire? And that's been a learning and growth experience for me, and continues to be. And I'm glad I made that decision. I think it's like the toughest decision is like, how do you walk away from that?
Yeah.
Or you're comfortable.
Yep.
Are you going to be uncomfortable? Are you willing to be uncomfortable again?
Yeah. Are you walking away from stability?
You for sure are.
Yeah.
You are. You for sure are. You know you are.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And walking away from what you thought was stable or what felt stable and comfortable to maybe there's something better and different and more here, even just from a personal energy standpoint. And that's a big barometer for me that I use is this positive energy? Is this thing that I'm working on giving me energy? Am I getting energy from it? The people that I'm working with, the projects that I'm working on. And I think if you take that lens, then some of those decisions are easy. And it's, I don't want to do this forever. I want to try something new. You're going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I failed. But I think if you use the positive lens of you're learning and getting better and growing, then you continue to move forward on that journey.
And obviously you had a lot of fears and probably scared and sleepless nights trying to get through that, or as you're starting and getting through.
I think so. I think it's for sure scared, for sure some fear. I think it's like I knew that I wanted to do that at some point, and it was just about the timing of it. So it was like the other side of that is like, well, you're just going to show up, and what does that feel like if you don't do it? The fear of not making the move when you have the timing and resource to do so. And then I think like regularly thinking like you're not good enough to do this, or you're not going to get clients, or your projects aren't of value, or you're too young to be a consultant, or nobody's going to hire you with that fucking beard. Right? just all of the things I think like that you think naturally. And me personally, just kind of that self-talk. Is it negative self-talk? Do you believe in yourself? Do you have the confidence to move forward? Do you care what other people think about you more than you care about what you think about yourself? That type of growth, just that confidence level that you have to have, and know that it should be authentic confidence and not ego. That you're kind of, but I'm tough on myself. I'm my own worst critic. I want to deliver excellent experiences and work really hard to do that, but not get into a burnout stage. Back to my definition of success is, do you have enough time to do whatever you want?
Yeah.
Right? You're not trapped in this 40, 50 hour a week, 5 or 6 day commitment, always on, always thinking about work. So that was also my step back, was just balance. Like if this doesn't work, I can find something else. And then kind of just figuring out what that right balance is, that energy is to put into work, knowing that there are things that are more important beyond that.
Because like you said, the freedom with your schedule a little bit. I know you've got to do some things that are probably very important to you, and I thought it was pretty cool that you get to substitute teach.
Oh yeah,
and help out with sixth grade.
Yeah. So I started volunteering at Paxton School. They have a cool program. It's Watchdogs. So they bring in fathers, grandfathers, male role models 1 day a week just to help the classroom experience. And I was involved with Quincy a bit too with that program, and then met the admin there at her school. And they're like, "You're pretty good with the kids. You should think about what that looks like," which was great to hear. And then so subbed a little bit, got a taste of what that looked like, got a taste of what kindergarten looked like, and then found a spot this year at Neenah Middle School in 6th grade as a paraprofessional, classroom assistant, going in and just kind of connecting with the kids, reminding myself what it's like to be a 6th grader again, right? Like empathizing with the youth. And it's been rewarding and impactful and hard. And I do it, the flexibility, right? Like some of it is just like figure out what you want to do again. oh, you don't have to do this one thing. You don't have to be a corporate environment, a senior research manager. Cool. I'm going to apply to be an usher at the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers and see what that feels like. I'm going to referee basketball. I'm going to do some volunteering with CASA and other organizations as kind of experiments of like, what does this feel like? What if you could just do a job for fun? What if you wanted to be at the place of employment? And Neenah Middle School is another one of those. Is what would that look like? What does supporting youth look like? And how much of that can you do? It turns out like 3 days a week is plenty. 2 to 3 days a week is plenty. It was a short-term sub-assignment that turned into a long-term sub-assignment. And I've been there since October, probably three or 4 days a week on average. And it's been wonderful. It's helped me energy-wise. I feel like I'm having an impact somewhat on the kids, even day to day. It doesn't feel like it. So that's been cool. And I wouldn't have been able to do that in that corporate environment. To your point, it freed me up to, hey, these are other areas where you might be able to make an impact or get energy from or have fulfilling project work.
Yeah, because like, well, kind of from my own perspective and doing things now different from like 20 years of being trapped in my own little world, and it feels like I've developed a new life. It kind of like you seem like you got a new life because you got freed up from the corporate world.
I think it's helped, right? Like, I think it's helped me realize what's possible. That freed up from the corporate world, I think is good, and I think like exploring what that freedom looks like and what you can do. I think it's helped me also just like, what do you want to do? Like asking yourself that question is a lot to sit with. Is like, if you could do anything, what would you want to do? If it wasn't about seeing how much money you could stack up or what the title looked like, you step outside of that, and then it's how much do you want to do, and how much do you do for other people, and how much do you do for yourself? And I think that's kind of the balance that I've been playing with. If this is the second half of my career, staring at 40, right? I think that was some of it too. COVID, pandemic, staring at 40, and then being home. Like, who are the most important people in my life? Well, it's my kids and my family. So if you're going to dedicate your entire being to being the best employee you can be in corporate, that's not entirely worth it, and there's more life to live. But those are hard questions to wrestle with. At least they were for me. Is what are you on this planet to do? Where are you having an impact? What are you getting energy from? Do you like yourself? Do you like the person that you are? And like that self-love, the who are you and who do you want to be? And I think to where we started, that earlier point is you have your past, and your past is your past. So own it, and you can own those mistakes, and you can get better from them, or those learnings, or those accomplishments. Right? Like, dwell on the negative, probably not too much. Where have you come? What are your accomplishments? How have you gotten better? And then based on that, like, live your life that way, and be proud. I think find authentic self, which you talked about in your piece. Are you real? Are you wearing a mask? Are you real? What are you hiding from? And who can you help along the way as you're helping yourself? That's been transition-wise for me, and it depends on the day. Dude.
Yeah, exactly. Because I could say, but it doesn't matter. It could just be something like myself. It could be somebody on the job site that I'm helping, and I don't even realize it. And just by having a conversation with them, or yourself, you could be talking to one of your clients or whoever, or your kids. And just crazy how that all of a sudden you do that little thing, and all of a sudden somebody might remember it 5 years from now, and you didn't think it was anything. But the
immediate reward for the work that I'm doing is not there, right? Like for anywhere. Especially at school, and probably a lot of these consulting engagements where it's front end. You don't see the rewards day to day. It feels like a struggle, but if you take a step back, you can see the impact that you made. So you're right. It's easy, I think, to beat yourself up day to day. But when you take a step back, you at least hope that you're having longer term impact. And I think with the youth that I'm helping at Neenah Middle School, that's definitely the case, as well as some of the other project work that I'm involved in.
Yeah, it's just some of the minor little morale booster things that I know that can help, because I know we've kind of started one thing on our job sites that everybody on the crew likes this year. At least once a week, I pull out the grill and I set it on the back of the tailgate and make everybody lunch and hand it out to them while we're working. And that seems like everybody's happier. Just simple little things like that. People should just try to be more kind and do stuff like that.
Then biggest challenge accomplishment, I had my kids on there for sure. You saw Paxton walk in. That was at the right time. Being a parent, both challenging and like you think about legacy and who those kids are. Pour a lot of time and attention and energy into them as they grow and mature. McKenna's 19 now. Quincy's 13. Paxton's 10. So like for the last 15 years, dedicated a good amount of time and energy to become a parent and learn what that means. Become a dad and like have people look up to you and have people that you're responsible for
that rely on you.
Yeah, that's it. And that you're a role model for and that watch you and that care about you. I would not be at a place where I am today without that and that experience. That causes you to grow up pretty fast. At least pushes you every day to try to get better and mature and grow and admit mistakes and failures and just have real conversation. So the last 3 years dedicated to trying to be a real authentic parent and adult and role model for those kids.
I'm sure you got to share some experiences because we weren't all saints.
And that's it too. You're looking at your 13-year-old and having a conversation and saying, "Oh yeah, I remember what that was like a little bit. Like I made mistakes, and I think I know how that feels like, and I wasn't perfect, and learn from this. And I can share what I did and what I tried to get away with and what I learned, but you're going to have to experience that for yourself. I'm not going to sit there and yell at you and tell you to not do those things. I'm going to say I hold high expectations for who you are and how you carry yourself, and also understand you're 10, 11, 12, and 13.
You're going to rebel.
Yeah, dude, you're going to rebel. You're not going to like me. Sometimes you're not going to want to hear what I have to say. I remember what that was like. So I think like spending time and energy trying to be a great leader or hold the title of whatever you are at work, the titles of father and uncle and brother are the ones that I'm learning that are the most important. Measure success that way, those that you are supporting family-wise. And then there's one other challenge note that I have here is just like having the courage to walk away from areas of life that we're no longer serving.
Yeah.
That I think corporate, I think projects that I've worked on that I didn't know that I no longer wanted to work on. I think it's easy to kind of stay in that, whatever that system is, or feel like you don't have a way out, or like saying no to stuff, or saying I'm done, or this isn't serving me anymore. Work, projects, relationships. I've made some pretty heavy leaps in the last, include corporate, so 3+ years, saying I think there's better things beyond what I'm currently doing. I think I'm getting better and growing, and I may need to change circumstance or say no to things or move out of things and not feel bad about it.
Yeah, I do definitely think a lot of people struggle with saying no.
Yeah.
And I see it every day, and some people I know, as soon as you get asked them, they're like, yep, and they'll do anything. But are they really helping anybody besides probably hurting themselves?
That's it. I think, like, is this serving me? Putting yourself first, or at least incorporating that into the decisions that you make. Because I think I know that for me, there were a lot of pressures on who I was supporting, what I was doing, why I was doing it. And that you can get trapped with that.
Yeah, and let's talk about your biggest fears.
Oh, geez, Kyle.
Let's jump around a little bit. Let's go to your fears.
On fear, I was looking at like what the underlying emotions of fear were. Because fear is hard for me to address head on.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, I'm not going to tell you what I'm scared of.
Well, that's part of being uncomfortable. Anxiety,
apprehension, nervousness, dread, fright, panic, emotions that are the understate fear. Showing up authentically. I think I talked a little bit about that. Who am I? And am I my authentic self? And wrestling with that. And I think for a while, I think that's the insecurity standpoint. Fine. It's insecure in who you are, who you want to be, how you carry yourself, the relationships that you have. Did I do enough? Life balance. So this leisure achievement thing is, am I happy? Did I do enough? Life is short, and are you gonna be done and say, "Damn, I didn't do that thing," or "I didn't grow and evolve into that space," or "I wasted my time on this planet," are things that I spend some time with. And then meaningful, positive relationships is one that I've been giving a lot of thought to. Is what are those? Do I have enough of them? Do I have the right ones? Am I growing those? Am I spending time growing those deepest, meaningful relationships? So I think it's like the love piece of it. The reading that I've done on like biggest regrets that people have in their life is they didn't spend time either in relationships and meaningful relationships, or wish they would have spent more time repairing those or having those, or dedicating time and space to being involved in that. So I don't know. Does that answer your question on fear?
So one thing I would say is like how you said, sometimes you feel like you don't do enough, or you worry
Yeah.
about doing enough.
Yeah.
I think I've learned over the past year, sometimes you don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Because you need to worry about yourself. Because like I will tell you, like on Friday, we call it at noon, and I didn't do anything that afternoon, and I felt so refreshed.
Yeah.
And I literally said to Angie after that, like 8 o'clock at night, I said, just thank you for letting me do nothing today.
Yeah. And being okay with that.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think that's it for me too, is having downtime and being okay in that downtime, knowing that it's rest and recovery and a mental break. And so I think yeah, you nailed it. That's the tension of like, well, if you're always worried about if you did enough, then you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Don't do too much. So finding that balance, I think that goes along with just like the leisure, finding happiness. That's it, I think, man. I think about my kids a lot. I don't know if there's fear involved there, but probably. Who are they growing up to be? Do they have positive adult role models in their life? Am I doing enough as a father and a co-parent? Who are they going to grow up to be? I think there's fear there.
It's you said the word role model or positive impact. Who would be one in your life that you would say besides a family member?
Yeah, we are jumping around a little bit. I did have some thoughts there. I have a few. Kids are a positive influence. You said non-family. I mentioned my kids. You've been a positive influence. You made the list. Someone that's gone through it, that's willing to share journey, that's been supportive of what I'm doing, that I can have conversations with. The youth at Neenah Middle School have been a positive influence energy-wise, no doubt. My usher friends at the Timber Rattlers have influenced me. So those are guys that are likely mostly retired, semi-retired, have life figured out, or at least are riding into retirement. So I learn a bunch from them just in terms of like what's important. Like find people that have gone through the experience that you're seeking to go through, whether that be a midlife crisis or semi-retirement or retirement or recovery. And then just like ask questions and get a sense for who they are and what they're doing. Don Anderson is a friend of mine, a thought partner, someone that's been super helpful for me just in terms of like helping me gain confidence in what I'm doing, helping me make leaps in terms of career shifts and moves, supporting me with both personal and professional stuff, and then just being there to hang out with and to vent and to laugh with. So he gets a shout out. And then Marnie Keller and Heidi Dusick have been helpful for me, mostly for the career standpoint, but also from the personal growth standpoint. folks that I look up to, mentors that I look up to, people that I believe are doing incredible things and doing some of the things that I want to do from a journey standpoint and growth standpoint, and have been helpful just in creating what Weller Workshops is in that sector. So those have all been positive influences on me. I have a good support network as well, and maybe have been quiet or haven't expanded as much as I can just in talking about stuff that's hard to talk about. Right, like, so for all of the reasons that, at least from my standpoint, is like, I don't want to burden you with my shit. You have enough to worry about. Like, I can listen to your stuff, but like, this is heavy shit that I'm going through. So why would I put that on you? Just that mindset.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I live that life.
Yeah. And like, is it appropriate to talk about personal stuff and what that line is for different people? Do you have this space for me to talk to you about these things? How do we be vulnerable together? These are difficult things to talk through. So I think there's personal growth and evolution from that standpoint in talking about the things that I'm going through or have gone through. We talk about past trauma and past experience. We can talk a little bit about that, and how private you want your life to be and who you want to share that with. Those are questions that I wrestle with, right? And we're recording this. So, and I think we talked about that last time in your episode. It's like, you shared a ton of shit and you're in a good place and not everybody's there. So like, and you said, you pushed back and said, well, it's healing. It's what healed me, is what you said, right? Like, even if it was difficult and I didn't want to share my shit, and it was nobody's business but my own. But the process of doing it is, and having the support to do it, having Patrick and a therapist and like activities to do it, is what got me over where I need to get over, is what got me over that hump. So I think that's part of what we're doing, is encouraging people to be okay sharing their stuff, even if it doesn't feel good or feel right, or you haven't done it before. And I will say that's a gap for me.
No, it was not easy, and I can tell you that. And even when we recorded my first time with you or whatever, and you didn't even tell me that we were recording it. We were just going to talk about it, and us and said we're doing it. Sometimes that's just the best thing to do, is just dive right in. Yeah. Because then you don't really have time to think about it. You can just be.
I tend to think about things. I'm a deep thinker, an overthinker. So you're right, though. Just do it and see what it feels like, and don't care too much about it, other than like, we're having a conversation about these things. Yeah. So, past trauma, I had my fair share.
Yeah, like
I have had my fair share of it. And even when I think about this, I think about the place of privilege that I had, right? So like, that we can sit here and talk about past trauma, and like, that we had support in our community and our family to get through it, and support friends. So I sometimes struggle, I think, talking about my trauma, because I kind of play it off as it wasn't that bad, or I made it through, or I had all of these people in my life that helped support me through it.
But that's the other thing that I learned. It might be not that big of a deal to you, but it might be a big deal to somebody else. So it's great to talk about it.
Thanks for the encouragement, my friend.
Yeah.
So I would just describe like we don't have to get too deep in here, but we can. I'll set up kind of two. When I look back and try to answer that question, so I would call it adversity in childhood and adolescence, family-wise. Parents being divorced at a young age, my mom being remarried, an abusive stepfather, then kind of family split up. My mom moving across the country with my youngest two sisters, and me staying in Amherst with my older sister. Splitting families, separating families. And
at the time, do you know how that made you feel? Or are you quiet about it? Or were you heartbroken? You just didn't know? Or you just tried to suck it up?
All of those things, probably. Pissed, angry, sad, and also like, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, you're not going to change it. So then you get a chip on your shoulder and a little bit of an FU mentality. to the world, which is kind of a difficult place to play. But like, you don't know what it's like to be me. This is hard, and like, oh, I don't want to show that it's hard. I don't want to show people that I'm struggling. We weren't taught. I think we talked a little bit in your stuff, or maybe in the earlier one, about emotions and how boys and men are supposed to handle emotions and feelings. That wasn't part of the 1990 curriculum. We didn't have a class on that, I don't think, right?
No.
We've come a long ways, I think, in accepting what that looks like. But for me, it was just like, okay, well, now you got to become a man a little bit earlier, and now you got to figure this stuff out. And yeah, how did it make me feel? I think there were ups and downs, and I think there were like, I lived in a safe household. My dad remarried to a wonderful woman. Vicky is an incredible person and human and role model and stepmother, and that's where I lived. In an environment where I went to bed safe, I had food on the table. I knew that I was going to wake up safe in Amherst. So like a place of privilege where there wasn't a ton, other than you still have that. You have a broken family. You're not sure. Relationship with mom, relationship with sisters. Get to go see them occasionally, holidays and a couple weeks in the summer. Right? That's not enough. That doesn't feel right. So yeah, insecure. Cocky, struggled with relationships and trust and communication. I think, and you asked about, I think it's like, what were your past traumas and what effect or impact did they have on you?
Every one of those will lead you right back to the broken home, or I don't know if you want to call it a broken home, but the divorced home.
Right. Yeah. So I was feeling those things, and I took on that as my personality or persona, or even just then said, here's what I'm really feeling: insecure and cocky, and I'll tell everybody that I'm fine, or I'll at least show that it's not bothering me, or I'll look for happiness. I'll seek happiness and fulfillment in other areas. But deep down, kind of, yeah, to your point, that's the fundamental roots at the heart of the family relationship from ages. I went through it, right? 6 through 18, 6 through you become an adult. So that was tough impact there. I think I'm through it or moving through it, but you can point a lot of the issues, feelings, emotions, immaturity back to that piece of it.